Sure.
Alrighty. Okay, could somebody do the slate? I will. Well, good day, the ICF coaches. My name is Brian Lee. I will be the MC for a great event. We're with Dr. Reynolds. Dr. Reynolds, on behalf of ICF Korea, we welcome you to today's
Thank
event.
you. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yeah. For there is surprisingly some people who may not know about you. So in order to help them, I asked the Chat GPT. I said, "Hey, Chat GPT."
Really?
Yeah, I did actually. And I said, "Hey, who is Dr. Marcia Reynolds?" And he gave me back the answer. With some other people, it says, "Oh, there are a few others. Who do you mean?" But not with you, because that's when I realized there's only one Marcia Reynolds. You are the author of the best-selling book. You were one of the first 25 MCCs ever in the world. And you have not only brought the reputation to coaching by your actual coaching, but also with the academic background. And your book, Coach the Person and Not the Person, has made a big impact throughout the world. And it is an honor for us to have you.
Thank you. That's fascinating. I'll have to do it myself
You
to
should, you should.
see who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, without further delay, here's Dr. Reynolds. Everyone, let's give her a warm applause.
Thank you. Well, this is a special session this morning, and we talked about what would be most useful for all coaches, whether you're new or you're experienced. And over the years, why I even write books is because I see coaches getting into like bad habits or belief systems that don't support them. And they don't understand exactly why they're doing what they do. And so I always want to bring forth that, here's what it is, what the power of what we do, and even the simple ways of doing it. And one of the problems that I find, and I was not taught this well when I went through coaching school, almost what it was like almost 30 years ago. Um, really understanding the power of how do I move into the coaching conversation? What is the agreement that I'm looking to create, which is really understanding what the person really wants that they don't have now, because that becomes the container, the thread that we coach to. And without that, it really doesn't have the most powerful ending you can have to ensure progress, to create the new awareness. Um, but it is also seems to be one of the most difficult things to teach and to practice. So I've been working a lot on this. So what I want to share with you is a few ideas today of how to do this. And then when I do the demonstration, to really look at, to listen for how I start the conversation and move into truly defining where are we going. So let me share my slides. So, okay. I love this quote from Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, then any path will take you there. And it's true that that even if we create a safe space for people to talk, and they sort through things on their own, they'll come to some solution, and they may even say, "Oh, thank you, coach. This is wonderful," even though you didn't do a lot of coaching, because we often need to have somebody present to talk things through. But what happens when people just talk things through? They're just working with the soup of what they already know, what they recognize in their cognitive brain, not what's truly holding them back here, what they're not seeing, what they're not aware of, that's keeping them from being the best they can be. And you'll see this in your coaching. In the coaching session, you may have trouble, you end up chasing them So it seems to go in circles. And oftentimes I find when I when I teach coaches, that they do finally get to what the person wants, but it's about 20, 25 minutes into the coaching, and there's not a whole lot of time to work on it. And um, there was a lot of wasted time up front when it's likely the person even said in their second sentence, what I really want is, and it wasn't grabbed by the coach. And so oftentimes you run out of time to really explore what they really want and what's getting in the way and what needs to happen next. So we start by, just allowing them to tell the story. So I'm very clear that some coaches are taught to say, so what do you want out of our session, our time together? Well, if you start a session that way, they don't know what they want, and they're just going to tell you the problem anyway, or I need to make a decision, or I need to make a plan. Well, but a decision or plan, or I need to be more confident, that's not truly the outcome. What will they have once they make the decision? What are they truly yearning for, seeking? What will the plan give them? Why haven't they sat down and made a plan? Because they can probably do that on their own. Or who will they be when they're more confident? But we can only hear that desire, what they really want, once they tell their story. So we need to hear within the story what they want to help them articulate it, not by asking the generic question. Um, so, we don't ask them that. That honestly, you just open the coaching conversation with just an opening, a door opener. So what's your current challenge? What's your question? What's been on your mind? What's keeping you up at night? And if you say, how would you like to use our time? That's okay. You're not saying, what do you want at the end of the session? You're just saying, how do you want to use our time? Which they will then give you a topic, which is okay because we're just opening the conversation at that point. Then you listen to the element shaping their story, so what is the story that they're holding? They're going to tell you their dilemma, their challenge, what they maybe want for themselves in the future. Um, and you have to first come to an agreement that you both share the same picture of what they're stating, uh, because you have not lived their life. And I don't care if you say to yourself, "Oh, I've been through that." No, you haven't. Because their experience is totally different than yours. I'm mentoring a group of coaches who live in a very small community and have grown up together. And it's very difficult for them to mentor each other because they make too many assumptions that they understand what's going on with this person. Better that you don't know the person. So to really be curious, to ask them for meanings of their words. So you said that, you're having trouble with your boss. Define trouble for me. And is this recent? Is it situational? To truly understand where they're coming from. If you say, I have a difficult colleague, what's making it difficult? So just first to understand, to ask for meanings. How do they see the situation? You clarify their key words, because then you start to understand their beliefs. You hear their doubts, their fears. And then within that, you can start to hear what they really want in very observable terms, what they want, what's important to them, what they're dreaming of, that maybe, they're afraid to tell other people, or people will judge them, or their family may not agree. Last night, I was working with a group of coaches, and uh, the client kept saying, this is what I want. It fills my heart. I have this great opportunity, but all of a sudden my wife has told me she wants something else. Um, and the question finally was, well, have you told her, what it is that this dream that you have? And he says, well, I'm afraid of disappointing her. But how does he know? How does he know she'll be disappointed and she won't support him? So to understand what it is that he wants, but what's the fear, what's getting in the way. We need to hear that within the story and use reflection to make sure we understand what they see and then what it is that they're holding is that's keeping them from achieving the dream that they want. So I often say, you have to flip it. So we clarify the perception of the problem, and I will use a lot of closed questions up front. So I hear what you're saying is, um, you said difficult team member. Is it just one or is it many? Uh, that would be sort of a closed question. I'm looking for a specific answer, or even to say, I think I understand what your situation is. There's a lot of things going on. Can I summarize it for you? And then I summarize it and say, is that it? That's a yes or no. I just need to make sure we see the same picture, and that we have the same meaning. Then I can really get into sharing back. Well, it seems this is what you want. Is that true for you? Tell me more about what that might look like for you in the future. We then have to agree on the observable outcome of what they want that they don't have now. So again, it's not an emotion. It's not a decision. It's not um, an action. It's what will they get when they make the decision, when they have the action, when they become that person. And so we don't get lost in their story. And if they're all over the place and explaining things, it's okay to interrupt and say, I'm getting a little lost tracking with you. Can I share with you what I think you're saying? So interruption is okay if you ask permission and give the reason. Just to make sure what's really happening in this moment. Um, so we use their words. We ask questions so both of you can see the desired outcome. So you might even say, okay, so here's what you said that you wanted to have a better relationship. What would that look like to you? The next time you're with this person, what are you hoping will happen? What will be different if you get what you want? How do you want your story to end? Um, who will you be when you create this? The who question is important. It seems like a lot of coaches don't know when to ask that, but it's only after they define what they want. Then you say, okay, if you get that, who will you be? Who are you hoping to become? And at the end of coaching, when they state their actions, you might say, okay, so who are you sensing that you're becoming now? The who question must be in context of their desire or their movement forward. So, of course, you won't stack these questions. These are just sample questions that will help you to clarify what is it that the person truly wants that they don't have now. So don't miss these moments. So many times coaches get stuck in the very beginning. Oh, I have to ask these questions. I have to ask what they want and why it's important and what needs to be addressed, because that's what the ICF says, or or I was taught this. I'm amazed how many coaches are taught kind of a formulaic process instead of a spontaneous interaction. But oftentimes, right up front in the first or second sentence, they'll say, well, but what I really want is, and then they launch in this whole litany of why they can't have it, why they can't have it. Last night, this coachee said, I'm really excited about this possibility, but it's going to be so crazy. I mean, there's so many things I have to find out. And, it just seems like a lot of work. And he went on and on and on and on and on. And the coach never went back to, but what excites you about this? So listen, and just hold on to that thing that they stated, but then they ran over. Because then they often say the shoulds. And one of my students once gave me a great question. She asked her client, how are your shoulds getting in the way of your dreams? Because the shoulds, the family dynamics, my family, it's not good. I have so many obligations, or, I have to make sure I make this much money, or, this is not what people do, in my society, my community, my culture, whatever, which downplays, and oftentimes the shoulds are not really real. They're just the excuses because they're afraid. They're afraid to take action to move forward. And anytime they have an emotional shift, if they get quiet and look away, they're thinking. Just say, would you be willing to share with me what just went on in your mind? Or they shift, they get sad, maybe angry. Can you tell me what just shifted for you? And because there's something going on that they haven't said. So you reflect what you notice, you ask questions, and then always ask, what is this connection of what you're thinking or what you're feeling to the outcome that they said they wanted? So throughout the coaching, we want to really see what's the connection. And I mentioned, I often use closed questions. So if somebody said you can't, they all have to be open. You're going to hear me use closed questions to clarify up front. I open them up after we know where we're going, which could take a lot of the session. But to offer distinctions, I often go, is it this or is it this? I was taught that in my coaching school. It's so powerful to help people identify what they want, to confirm, to make sure I understand that we have an agreement on what you mean. And if they keep going off in different directions, to come back to bottom line, but you said you wanted this, is this still what you want? Or is it really something else now that we're having this conversation? Um, because we coach to what's getting in the way of what they really want, so the simple coaching model is, here's a smart person, here's what they want. It may take a while to really get there, but then what's stopping this person from getting what they want, what needs to be addressed or resolved, really? And at the end, once we figure out what they need to do to address or resolve it, then what's next? That's your coaching model. And to stay on track with that. And, it could shift. I always say the outcome becomes the guide rails. But as you explore it with them, they may surface something that's even more important. And then you just say, wow, it seems like um, that relationship. You said you wanted to work on your relationship with your team, but you keep coming back to your relationship with your boss. Is that what you really need to work out right now? Because you keep coming back to that. You just ask them, are they moving focus, or are they really just drifting away? And let them choose. You invite them to choose. So the invitation is always there. We use invitations in coaching. And if it's a new picture of what they want, we help them create the picture of that, and that becomes their new outcome. And that can happen too. So whenever you see a shift and in their emotion, in their thinking, and what's bubbling up as most important, say, would you be willing to share with me what you're now seeing? What's coming up for you? What's interrupting your thoughts right now? Is there anything else that feels important to you that we may be looking at that would help you to move forward in this challenge you're facing? So the main thing is, don't stick to, I have to ask these questions and I have to ask them a certain way. You won't hear the most important thing. So you need to relax into your curiosity. Just stay curious and always wanting to know, what do they mean and what do they see? Share their keywords, offer it back. Is this what's going on with you? And if you sense something they're not quite saying, just say, it feels to me as that this is, what's coming up for you, or there seems to be a lot of anger or resentment in the situation. Would you, is that true? Would you talk about that? And always accept their response. Um, appreciate where they are right now. I don't care what they're feeling and you're thinking they shouldn't be feeling that way. That's just where they are. That's just where they are. When I teach leaders to coach, this is one of the most important things. Just accept where they are right now and know we can move forward. Don't judge. The moment you judge, their brain shuts down. They know it. They know it. So releasing judgment, practicing the releasing of judgment. Many of you have heard me talk about that. That's so critical to coaching. So with that,
Wow, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Mm.
I'm sure there'll be others. I have so many questions at this point, but I'll hold until the Q&A time, which will be after the demonstration. And
Mhm.
those of you who are participating today, please don't forget to write your questions and give to Kate or Jenna, and we'll be able to ask those questions. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring in Wani and see the master coach in action with Wani with his real
Hope so.
problem.
Thank you.
Hello.
So, hi. So could everybody turn off their cameras? Maybe you want to spotlight Wani and me.
모두 화면을 꺼주시기 바랍니다.
Yeah. Thank you. Great. No distractions. So thank you, Wani, that you're willing to stand up and support your peers by being here.
Thank you for coaching me. Looking forward to it.
Great. So, what is the big challenge on your mind right now that you'd like to explore with me?
I think the biggest challenge that I'm facing now is that I feel like I'm stuck in a box that I created for myself.
Mhm.
So to be more specific, I create content online in, we can call it the fitness niche, right? How to build
Okay.
a fit body and a healthy body and things like this. And the reason I started this is, in some ways it is my passion. But in another way, it's because when I made a fitness video, it got a lot of views, it got a lot of appreciation. And whenever I'd make, more fitness videos, people liked it. And, I felt good about that. But fitness is just one layer of my passion and my purpose and what I want to explore and share with the world. I feel like there's so much more that I want to say, that I want to share. But there is this fear that if I move to another topic, that if I show another side of myself or something else, that won't be appreciated equally.
Okay. So what I heard you say, what I'm doing is only a bit of my passion and my purpose, and that you have a bigger picture and desire of what you want to create out in the world. But what's holding you back is that your fan club won't like you moving away from the fitness. Is that true? Did I get the main points?
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. It's I'm not even
Okay.
sure if it's if they wouldn't like it. It's just because there's always support whenever I say this to even the subscribers or to like my friends. They will say just do it, do what you're inspired to do. And there's all this
Okay.
encouragement, so I think
Yeah.
it's possible that they would be supportive, but I still feel there's this kind of block.
Okay. Well, we could look at the block, but would you share a little bit? You said you want to create a bigger impact, that you have great desires to do more. Could you tell me a little bit about, what, when you're sitting on your own and you're thinking about what you would like to create in the world and who you want to be, what comes up for you?
I think fitness is just the surface
Mhm,
of, so essentially it's trying to help the person become more confident in themselves,
mhm.
right? That's
Okay.
what's at stake when I talk about fitness, I think.
Mhm,
And to inspire confidence in other people, not just in their body, but
mhm,
in their, for instance, in their relationships, right?
mhm,
In their relationships with friends, with significant others, with their family. So these kinds of topics are some
mhm,
things that I want to share my learning lessons on. And also things that I learned in coaching, right?
mhm,
How to actually listen, how to actually
mhm,
inspire people to change without
mhm.
just teaching them. Like that's another
Okay.
thing I struggle with. I feel like I'm like, just spewing out my knowledge, waiting for them to
Okay.
absorb it in. Yeah,
Can I share two things I hear?
yeah,
One is, you do have this great desire to go beyond just physical training, that it's whole life confidence is what I heard you say. So it's, I'm confident with my body, but I'm confident with my relationships and all the interactions I have in the world. So you have this vision of what you want to create. M- m- But then this soup that you started to explain is, almost like you're getting stuck with how I would do that, and when you said spewing what I know, so that the block is, I can't do this right. So is that what's really stopping you from moving forward? Is that you're afraid that you won't do it uh, in a good way, that you won't do it um, in a way that works?
I think that's part of it. That's definitely part of the fear. I think it's more the fear of failure, like a fear of
Mm,
it not going well. But yeah, yeah, I think that's, is that the same thing? I think, yeah,
mm,
fear of um losing significance in a way, because I feel like with if I continue what I'm doing in the fitness
mhm,
niche, then it's kind of like it's okay, people still appreciate it, and then if I
mhm,
change, it's like, will they appreciate the full spectrum of what I have to offer,
mhm.
or is it just like a partial?
Okay. Well, but there seems to be kind of a crossover, that trust in yourself and who am I to be doing this? That was easier for you in fitness, obviously, right?
Yeah,
Um, so that who am I to be teaching them about their whole life? There's that side of it, but there's also so then if it doesn't go well, um, uh, that I will be negatively judged and this is going to be a difficult thing, that fear of failure, that it's almost like the imposter syndrome. They're going to find out I'm really not that good and then they're going to leave me. Right. And so that's keeping you from moving towards your dream of having a bigger impact in the world. Is that true?
yeah.
Okay. If you were then to define to me in just a couple sentences, um, the biggest thing that you feel is holding you back from moving towards your dream.
I think what just flashed across my mind was public humiliation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, there's a distinction here. When you started your fitness, you kind of just put out the videos and, it's like they just liked it. So you weren't concerned about rejection because you were just putting them out there and it just turned out they liked it, right?
Yeah.
So now you're saying, okay, but I'm going to choose to put myself forward. What if they reject me? So what if they do? What if you don't get the recognition and the cheers that you expect?
I think that's part of the fear, because it's also, in a practical sense, my business. It leads directly to my income. So, I could, if it isn't appreciated, it does affect, the practical business side of things. So that is what I guess would happen, is that my revenue, my income would go down. But I wouldn't be doing so well on the business side. Yeah.
What is your revenue coming from now?
It's two things. So one is from advertising, so ad revenue from videos on YouTube, and the other is that's the front end marketing for a digital course and online coaching that I provide, which is sold separately outside of YouTube. But they're obviously directly linked because people find me through YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what makes you believe that that would go away?
I mean, maybe that would not go away like that. I see, for example, a direct correlation between how well my videos are doing and how many people want to get coached by me and things like that. So there is a kind of link there.
Okay. But the question then is, again, if you were to add, because I didn't hear you say you would stop doing what you're doing now. If you were to add to that, what makes you think that what you're successful at today would go away?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I guess if I continued also with what I was doing, there's no reason to stop it. It's not like I don't like the topic anyway, so it wouldn't necessarily halt. It's just I think I maybe overthought it in my head, where if I switched to another sort of topic and niche, it would the fitness side would die down. If the channel would die and the fitness side would die down and things like that. It's just this constant chase to make content that is liked by other people, rather than like fully trusting my creative instinct to be like, this is something completely random, completely unrelated that I want to do. But I find myself hesitating to do that, to put it out there. But it's what I get excited about in my private time. Like I'm designing it, I'm writing things, I'm like thinking about it. And then when it comes to it, it's like, well, I got to do the thing that's going to get watched. Right. So I feel like,
but that's the key, isn't it? It's easy to create and design and, this is what I really want to do. It's like when I write a book, I can sit here and I can write the book, but as soon as I'm done, it's like, oh, now I have to put it out in the world. What if they hate it? And then your valuation of self becomes dependent on others. And it sounds to me that it's more about the recognition and the value that you think you might not get, that's keeping you from living out this thing that gives you so much excitement. You light up when you say, when I think about it and what I could create, what I really want. you light up. But then you're allowing this fear, this assumption that you don't know if it's real or not, to stop you from trying. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
What does what mean to me, sorry?
What I just shared, here's this great thing you want to put out there, but the moment you think, but if I put it out there and they don't give me the feedback I'm looking for, then then it'll destroy me. Will it destroy you?
I don't think it will. No, it won't destroy me.
Okay.
It's strange because
Mhm.
I have a kind of trust in myself that if I did it, I'd do a decent job, and that eventually,
Yeah.
I'd find a way. And in my life, there have been instances like that where it was, uncertain, and then I went into it, and I always
Yeah.
had this like little bit of self belief that it can work, and I have the same
It will
thing.
turn out.
It's
Yeah.
just like
So what's stopping you from holding on to that trust?
what's stopping me from holding on to that trust. There's nothing really stopping me. I think it's just yeah, it's a fear that's quite hard. I'm not even sure if I'm describing it right. I think it's a very common fear.
No,
But
I hear it.
yeah,
The
so
fear is foggy. You said I have this trust in my gut, but this fear, is here. You're creating the worst case scenario, okay,
yeah.
which is overriding your trust. If you don't do this, Wanhi, how much will you regret it?
I think I'll regret it a lot. I think I will do it. It's just a matter of
You will-
time. Yeah.
I will do it. Say that I am going to do this. Say it. You just said it. I will do
Yeah,
this.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time, and it's this constant kind of like
So tell me about time. Is this like timing in the next year, timing 10 years? What's your sense?
the timing will be definitely this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this year.
Yeah.
Are you going to commit to that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So sometime this year, before May of next year, you're going to do some things to come out into the world in a bigger way, to have a greater impact, because you can do this. And you don't know exactly how, but you have many people out there. You said people are supporting you and they're saying, do it, do it. And I'm sure that you could get people to help you figure out how best to do this. So you're not just spewing at people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometime this year, what's your first step, Wanhi?
The first step is to actually record this episode I have in my mind, which is the first of a series that I want to create. It's kind of silly, but
Mhm.
to actually do that, yeah.
Okay. So you're smiling when you said that. So you already know what you want to create.
Yeah.
Okay. So when might you do that?
When will I create the first episode?
Hmm.
I had two ideas. One was when I go to the East Coast this weekend to help a friend. But that was just like a vague idea. And the next was when I visit my brother in London, which would be in September. But I think I should give it a go this weekend.
Okay, so this weekend, what do you mean give it a go? That you're going to plan it this weekend?
Then I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're visiting
take the
your,
camera on the trip and talk to it.
oh, to the East Coast. Okay, okay. Okay. So you can try it out. And it's a pilot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So good. What is it that's really come forth for you in our conversation? What'd you learn about yourself?
I think the self-trust part was something that really made me think, what's actually stopping me from trusting that side of me, right? And
That you've trusted before.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that, and also that I know it will happen, but
Yeah.
I'm marinating this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it procrastination? Is it imposter syndrome? Whatever it is, I'm like marinating with this problem when I know for sure it will happen. It's just almost like I want assurance from you, from everyone, that it will be okay before I take the leap.
Instead of trusting yourself, you're
Right.
looking for assurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going back to trusting yourself. So is giving it a go this weekend, is that a demonstration of trusting yourself?
It is.
Okay. Great. So that's your first step to creating this amazing thing that's going to be important to many people out in the world. Right? Yeah. So if you were just to not worry about anything and anyone's judgment, when you create, really bring this vision out in the world, who are you, Wanhee? Just say it out loud. Who will you be? Who are you becoming right now?
Becoming a inspirer.
And inspire. Excellent. So is that something that will be useful for you every time that little fear comes up that, oh, who's really going to watch this? To remember who you are, who you've been called to be in this world?
Yeah.
Okay. So this weekend you're going to do that. And if you start to get uncomfortable, you can create the video, but then you have to push the send button. What will you do to give you the courage to push the button?
I don't know. I just Yeah, I didn't think about that part. I just thought about creating it, but what will give me the courage? I don't know. I think I'll just, there'll come a point where I say, let's just put it.
Let's just do it. You trust yourself.
Yeah.
You've done it. You've pushed that button before.
Yeah.
And it'll either be great or it may not meet expectations, but what will you do next? You'll create another video and push another button. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't see you as that person that just gives up.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for choosing, the courageous path. This is a hero's journey, and in the hero's journey, the hero goes out to do something important, but faces a lot of obstacles along the way. But every obstacle is a teaching moment, that you've taken the courage at this moment to give it a go and go out on this journey and make a difference in this world. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much too. I just
Yeah.
for giving me the push to trust myself.
And go inspire people.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, well, thank you. All right, so I'm going to invite people back. Wanhee, you can stick around, and because we're going to talk about you. So I am going to ask people not to coach Wanhee anymore. Give him a moment to breathe, so you can ask me questions. All right, and then about the coaching.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Well, it felt like just a few minutes had passed by, and I think I didn't time it, but I think it was about a 30-minute coaching. And I would like to open up the floor for the participants to ask any questions to Dr. Reynolds at this time. Young, you have your mic open. Oh, no.
제가 먼저
Yes, you're
질문해도
welcome to.
될까요?
Yeah.
Hi, Marcia. 네네. 사실 ICF에서는 어그리먼트, 처음에 코칭할 적에 어그리먼트를 되게 강화하고 있는 걸로 알고 있거든요. 근데 그런 부분에 대해서 마시아는 이번 코칭에서 코칭을 하는 데 있어서의 합의하는 거, 고객과 이 부분은 어떤 부분에서 좀 우리가 그걸 파악할 수 있을까 하는 부분이었어요.
Young's asking the question about how ICF perhaps overemphasizes on the concreteness of the setting the agreement. In today's coaching demo, how will we as aspiring coaches take note of that ICF standards? Getting the agreement concrete in the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah. So what was the agreement? What did we agree to? What did you see that we agreed to?
세션을 시작할 적에 고객과 함께 이 세션에서 무엇을 얻고 싶은지를 되게 합의해라라고 하는 부분이 코칭 역량에 제가 있는 걸로 알고 있거든요.
그렇죠. 네,
그 부분이
맞습니다.
되게 강조되고 있는데 저는 이 코칭에서 어떤 부분에서 그러한 어떤 합의, 그러니까 즉 다시 말해서 가지고 온 주제에 대해서 되게 이상적인 모습은 어떻게 보면은 어떤 목표라고 한다면 ICF에서는 이 세션에서 그 세션의 outcome, 그러니까 the outcome of the session 하고 the goal of the topic about the topic 이 두 가지는 되게 다른 것 같아요. 근데 ICF에서는 세션의 아웃컴을 초기에 합의하라
Mhm.
이런 부분이 있는 걸로 저는 알고 있거든요.
Right. 그래서 지금 Dr. Reynolds가 여쭤보는 것이 여러분들 모두에게 여러분들이 직관하셨는데 여러분들 생각에는 오늘의 합의된 주제가 무엇이었습니까? 라고 다시 반문하시는 것 같아요. 완이를 포함을 해서 여러분들 중에서 제가 오늘 관찰한 뭐랄까 어그리먼트는 이거였습니다라고 말씀해 주시면 도움이 될 것 같습니다.
Okay.
I just
We
translated.
absolutely had an agreement.
Right.
The moment I flipped it to what it is that he wanted to create. So tell me what it is that, when I asked him about his dream, he said he had something big he wanted to do. When I asked him to define that,
음,
that became the thread throughout the program. So when I verified that's what it was, that was the outcome. I don't have to say, so what's the outcome of your session? I do not have to ask that question.
Hmm.
We just have to have an observable result that's positive that he wants, that we agree to. Okay. What the ICF says is the outcome cannot be vague.
음,
Okay. They're very clear in the assessor training that you cannot accept a vague outcome. So I just want to be confident. I want to feel more confident. That's vague. I can't see more confident. But what is it? If you were more confident, what would you create? And that's why if you listen to the recording, I actually stopped him as he started to really circulate about the problem and said, could we just step back for a second? I just want to make sure I understand, what it is that you're wanting to do that you're not doing now. That was the outcome. And I kept coming back to that, the big thing, the impact he wants to make in the world, the difference, more than just fitness training. I kept coming back to that and came back to it at the end. So absolutely, that was the outcome. Could I have specifically said, okay, so it sounds like what we're really working on here is you creating, this bigger of who you are and what you do out in the world. Is that what we're working on here? I could have asked that more specifically. That's fine. But that's exactly what I did in us agreeing to what is it he wants. That's not happening in this moment. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Understand?
Thank you. Yeah. But personally, what I sensed was that I think you, instead of approaching it in a very mechanical manner, which can be like skeleton wise, you can see clearly, but it's kind of boring. But there was a bit of an art form, as far as I can tell. It was done in a personal way, as you emphasized a lot about coaching the person and not the problem, and that made I thought one he reflect a lot, and he looks up whenever he thinks, and makes those puppy eyes, and he did a lot of that today. What did you think, Wani, about?
And I held the silence every time,
You
didn't I?
did. Yeah.
Sometimes a really long silence because he was thinking. So let him think. Let him think. Yeah.
Wani?
I just want to say that when we start out as coaching, new coaches, just asking the formulaic question is like, just fine. Okay. That's where we start. It's like when you learn to play the piano, you learn your scales. But if, as you get better as a coach, if I'm mentoring you, especially for MCC, I will not accept the formulaic question. So what do you want to get out of our session? When they already told you, you at least to say, so it sounds like what you really want for us to work on is this. Is that true? At least invite them to choose. It sounds like you really want to work on how can I feel good about moving forward and creating this bigger dream that I have, even though I'm afraid. Is that what you want to work on? Okay, use their words. Do not ask the generic question. I won't allow it at that level.
Mm, mm.
Okay, so you had a question of one he?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear from Wani what he thought about the setting the agreement and whether how vague or how clear things were for him, or any other comments that Wani might have after the experience.
To be honest, I don't really understand the ICF agreements about agreements and things. So I just understood that I was in a coaching conversation that Marcia started how she did, and I was completely just locked in. Like I didn't.
Mm,
So I guess I don't have anything to say about the agreement side of things. I felt like it was powerful. I felt not always at ease, but I say this in a good way. Like
mm,
it wasn't just like a good time where I'm explaining what I'm feeling and the other person is understanding me like, oh, really? It was, there were questions, there were moments where it was not comfortable, but in a good way. I actually mean this in a good way that made me like figure stuff out and wonder why I'm thinking this way or saying this thing.
Yeah.
Like words like when I said public humiliation or things like that is like things that flashed in that I probably wasn't planning on talking about.
mm.
So yeah, overall it was just
Yeah.
it was a coaching call, I guess. It was, yeah, it was
I
very
think
I want to just acknowledge that though too, that prior to Coach the Person, I wrote the book, The Discomfort Zone.
mm,
That learning creates discomfort because we're breaking through the patterns that kept us safe. So there's always this moment where you're going to get an emotional reaction. And it could be, just a discomfort. I'm not comfortable. It could be crying. It could be anger. It could be hesitation, whatever. That just means you did good coaching. Don't jump in and fix them. They're now seeing something new. Let them see it and then ask them about it, whatever their experience is. So discomfort is a good part of coaching. So thank you, Wanhee, for sharing that.
absolutely. I think he went to get a suit at Target, and instead he got a bespoke, custom-made suit. So, and it's looking good. Any other questions?
And could you I'm going to just 1 second, it's very early in the morning here and my cat needs to go out. I need to let her out.
Yes, of
So,
course.
okay.
네, 거의 애리조나가 여기보다 열 몇 시간인가? 15시간인가? 아마 좀 늦죠? 그래서 지금 새벽 한 6시 반 정도 된 것 같은데, 네, 들으셨겠지만 고양이를 내보내려고 지금 잠깐 다녀오셨습니다. Okay, now somebody has put up a question in the chat box. Let me translate it for you. In one, through coaching, he had he had to face the fear straight on, and through coaching, this is Sharon asking the question. The coach helped Wanhee to talk about the self-doubt and the confidence in himself. Now, she's asking there are additional complexities involved with moving to action. So after facing the fear, what would be your suggestion as to making the coaching more effective, helping the person now with having the courage? How do you deal with the, I guess, nitty-gritties of actually applying the action items? I think that's what she's asking. Am I being clear?
Oh, I don't need to know details. All I needed to hear was that what he's going to do next, by
Mhm.
when. He said this weekend. We talked a little bit about, okay, so once you create the video and pushing the button, that's
Right,
the
that was
next
good, yeah.
step. Yeah, that's the next step, because that's, when the fear could come up again. But I don't need to know exactly what camera he's going to bring and, how long the video is. I don't care,
Mhm.
because that's not a part of it. I'm not coaching to his plan.
Right.
I'm coaching to him moving forward to his dream. So, that we got to what, going back to ICF, there's three things that is required. It's that we agree to what the person really wants. That's the agreement.
Mhm.
Okay, what is it that we want, that they want, that we're working on? What's making this important? Which he was very clear about that up front. That and I did reflect that back. That okay, so you, the whole thing about the greater impact in the world. I know I can do this. And he early on said, I have a gut sense I can. So, the power of the impact. But the third thing in that behavioral marker is what needs to be addressed or resolved in order for them to get what they want. Okay. So that's where, I went. Once we defined uh, what he wants is to really, bring forth and make an impact in this world in a bigger way, then we can start looking at, but what's holding him back? And
Mm.
then that's when I was able, when I would more reflect about his fear of rejection and, other people's judgment that are holding him back from achieving his dream. And that's when he even came forward with the public humiliation.
Right.
But and that's why I even said, "But will you regret not doing this? How
Mm.
much will you regret it?" Because and he said a lot. Okay.
Excellent.
So
Let me read the
mhm.
comment for not just for people here, but because this is being recorded and will be shown on June 24th. Sukyung Baek is writing, not a question, but appreciation about her mastery in holding the space. I noticed a powerful shift made by Wan-hee when Marcia maintained a very long silence after making a reflective inquiry. What is stopping you to hold on to the trust? Right.
Mhm.
Excellent observation. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Kyung, do you want to add anything
Mhm.
to it? I see you being a little fidgety on the screen. So,
Hi, Marcia. Hi, nice to see you. I took your class breakthrough coaching in December, so I appreciate when you're holding the space. Just curious as a coach. There was a moment in the beginning of a conversation when Hani was not really reflecting. He was like adding more story to.
Mhm.
I felt like I was nervous in that way. How would Masha would find a way? That's my view. Were you
Mhm.
any moment that you were actually, wow, is this right way we are heading? I'm just wondering whether you have the doubt.
Oh,
And
well, I needed to hear his story, you know? Okay, so, he said what he wanted, but I needed to hear the full story. So the stuff around, him creating the video and now, it's a different situation. So there was elements I need to hear its full story, whether I use it in the moment or I use it later, of what has occurred, um, what's creating, what does he want now, what's creating the difficulty that he's facing, that he wasn't facing before. So I needed to hear enough of that. if he started to circulate, which I think I did interrupt him. Once he starts to circulate and go round and round and round again, and and people like me, and all these people tell me, yeah, you should do it, and da 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 da. It's like I'll listen to a little bit of that, but then I'll say, can we just stop for a second, because I think I want to share with you something, what I've heard. And then I summarize. What I first did was just 3 sentences where I summarized the big old story, and just to make sure that I heard it correctly, which is so important. I honestly, yesterday morning, I woke up, I was tired, and I did a demo at 5 a.m, and it was not good. Because I didn't do that, but it was a translated demo. I thought I understood. I didn't understand. And so we struggled in the coaching because I didn't really understand the story.
Mm.
So I first need to make sure I understand the story, and then understand what he wants before we go deeper into, the fear, the doubt that's holding him back.
Mm. Yes,
Mhm.
thank you. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the follow-up. Yuri Kim, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I have just a quick question. So basically, when we are coaching, we are like moving towards the end. We are kind of asking accountability questions, like when are you going to do that? Like when
Mhm.
are you going to like press the button? Those kind of questions. So when
Mhm.
I ask those kind of questions to my clients,
Mhm.
some of their feedback is always, not always, like often they say, they feel quite uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Why I have to kind of exactly tell you when, because I'm not quite ready, but those
Mhm.
questions make them really uncomfortable. So what kind of like a feedback I can actually
Yeah.
give them when they are saying that?
I don't go there until there's an awareness.
Mm.
Okay. So when they have a new awareness, and if you noticed, I even said, so what did you really get out of this session? Okay. Because then there's excitement that's built on the new awareness, the new learning about themselves and what they want to do in the world. Then I can go, okay, so what is it now you're going to do? Based that you understand this, what is it now you're going to do? So I tie the action to the awareness, which gives it energy. And and all my clients know I'm going to say, okay, so what's the next step? When are you going to do it? They may not like it, but they know that they have to do that. And if they say, I'm just not ready to state that, I need to think about it, I'll say, okay, so what does thinking about it look like? I don't care that it's irritating. And I might even say, okay, so what's the resistance here?
Mm.
What's your hesitation to committing to this action? I might just say that. It's just that in reality, if they don't do that, there's no commitment. Okay, just saying I'm going to do this could be anywhere. Some day is not a day in my calendar. Okay, so I had at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a woman that wanted to do something, and she said, but I really can't move forward on this for about 8 months. I said, okay, so what do you need to do to make sure you don't forget in 8 months? And that was important too. So it's like there are times they can't do it today. That's okay. So so what is it that you're going to do to keep this in mind, so you don't forget, that you don't give in, that you don't go back to your fear? So you know what? Just do it anyway. You heard me say, make them uncomfortable. I don't care. I make them
Mm.
uncomfortable all the time. And I can, I might even laugh and say, I know you hate that question.
Mm.
But it ensures that for both you and I, that there will be progress. Because I'm not going to be the one. You can't call me or expect me to call you and make sure you did it. I'm not being that person, if you need someone else to do that, that's fine. But even the thinking, I've had people say, I really need to think about this some more. It's just like, so, what does that mean? What do you need to carve out some time? I had a client, a demo recently where she said, yeah, I really need to sit down and plan this out. I'm just been so busy and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, what might that be? And she said, oh, well, I guess Saturday is the best time. I said, so you're going to carve out time and make it sacred on Saturday? She goes, well, there's just so many things that come up. I said, okay, so are you going to let those things come up and you're not going to do this? Do you need to commit to this? What are you going to do when distractions come up? And I pushed her, and that was a critical moment because she's been putting this off for a long time. And she said it afterwards. Yeah, I was uncomfortable. And I've had, like, thank you, Wanhee, for saying that, in demo sessions where the observers ask the client, but did that make you uncomfortable? And they always say, yes, it did. And I'm glad she did it.
Mm.
Okay. So, just make sure it's in context and it's not just formulaic, that they said they're going to do this. And it's like, so when you ask the question, okay, that's a very specific thing. When do you think you'll do it? Usually if they were excited about their learning, it's going to be tomorrow or this weekend. It's usually even faster than I thought. But base it on the awareness. It always is based on the awareness, not just out of context to close the session.
Mm.
Okay?
Excellent. Based on the awareness, and after the awareness, the process takes over as well. And yes,
Yeah.
and you are also coaching the person and not the problem. And so
Yeah.
making the person uncomfortable wasn't your goal. Making him well was your goal, and therefore discomfort was necessary. So thank you. We
Yeah.
have just enough time for just one more quality question. So somebody who's like, if I don't ask this question, I can't go to sleep tonight. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There's
There's a question in the chat box.
Thank you. I will read it for us. There's a comment too. I was very impressed. This is by Jennifer Choi. I was very impressed. I was impressed with how the coach gave positive assurance to the situation
At the end.
that the client had. Yeah, absolutely. And Susie O has a question. If I remember correctly, after Wanhee explained about his status of mind, etc., coach mentioned imposter syndrome sometime during the session. My question is that even though coach sensed that coachee is in that situation or the syndrome, is it good to mention that? Maybe
No.
no.
He mentioned it. Okay, so I'm going to step back now
Okay.
to being my doctor of psychology.
Thank you.
Okay, a syndrome means it's like a diagnosable situation, and people misuse imposter syndrome. He doesn't have a diagnosable situation, where it's like that needs therapy, so I don't, imposter syndrome just means I'm afraid I will be judged as not good enough. And when I said to him even that, well, who am I to be the one that puts that out there in the world? That's was related to the whole imposter syndrome complex. What
He's
if people
describing all
find
his
out?
fears.
Yeah. What if people find out that I'm not really, an expert in this and whatever? So, you could explore it more deeply, but don't use the words. Be careful of that. It's a pet peeve of mine. I even wrote, if you look up Psychology Today, my blog posts, I wrote a blog post about that. I believe it was on that or maybe on my website about, that we misuse that term. And it keeps people stuck. Keeps people stuck. It gives them an excuse and a reason.
Okay, excellent. And yeah, thank you so much for that follow-up.
Yeah.
So now, a final question. Once again, we thank you so much for getting up so early in the morning to be with us. as you know, U.S. is facing the debt ceiling question, and there's a war raging on in Ukraine, and there is a saber rattling between China and the U.S. and
Yeah.
many of the nations, the
Mhm.
hurricanes and the tsunamis
Climate
raging on and
change,
so forth.
right.
In this
Yeah.
turbulent times,
Mhm.
what word would you give to the coaches throughout the world, but especially in Korea, that
Mhm.
who should we be in this day and
Yeah.
age?
You're the light that keeps the hope going.
Coaches are the
Yes.
light that
And
keeps the
coaches are the
hope.
light that keeps the hope going.
Mm.
Yeah. So I want you all to know this. I'm Ukrainian. My grandparents came from Ukraine. But I remember my grandmother just so tough, and she just kept going, and was so grateful to raise her family here, that she showed me what courage really is. And she was even shorter than me. If you know me, I'm very, very tiny.
Mhm.
And she was even tinier than me, but she was tough. So be the light, be the courage. The energy, the emotion you bring to your coaching is just as powerful as your words. So bring that light, bring that hope, bring that courage to your coaching always.
Thank you
You
so
know,
much.
And I just want to put a plug in. Margaret Wheatley has written many books, but she wrote a book called So Far From Home, where she describes us as warriors of the human spirit. And the world, there's wars going on. The world is crashing all around us, and we may not save the world, but if we can maintain being warriors of the human spirit, that's the gift we give.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
ICF Korea has just asked me for a favor, that because this is being shown on the ICF Korea's 20th anniversary celebration on June 24th, that if you could give a congratulatory comment before we end. So would you address?
I'm just so amazed, because like when we started the ICF and even decided, well, should we be international or not? And it's like, I don't know. We had no idea how it would so expand around the world, and how much coaching is cross-cultural, and I'm so amazed at the commitment that you all give to being warriors of the human spirit, of being out there for people. And you've been doing this for decades now. So congratulations on your anniversary. Thank you for choosing coaching, and I'm always here to support you on your journey.
Thank you. Could everyone turn the mic on and say a word of appreciation as we end?
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
You're
so
so
much.
welcome.
So
Oh,
inspiring.
for your
Thank you.
time. Marcia, I'm about crying. It's so impressive.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Reynolds, on behalf of ICF Korea, thank you so much. We shall
You're
be the
so
light that
welcome.
keeps the hope alive.
Great. Well, have a great celebration, and we'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
아이고, 고생들 하셨습니다.
고생하셨습니다.
고생 많으셨습니다.
정말
고객
수고
역할 해주신
많으셨습니다.
김환희
네,
선생님
큰 박수.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.
네. 아, 진짜 우리 좋은 시간 가진 것 같습니다.
네.
어떻게, 수석 부회장님 어떠셨습니까?
아니, 되게 좋았어요. 제가 처음에 못 알아듣고 질문한 거에서 제가 또 추가적으로 설명해서 그렇긴 한데
되게 좋았습니다, 저는. 클리어해졌어요. 네.
기록을
제나?
조금 멈출까요? 어떻게 할까요?
네.
멈춰주세요.
네, 기록을 조금
나중에
멈춰주시겠어요?
영상 편집하시겠습니다. 네네.